This sketchbook is almost done, but it's missing something. A good cover, so let's draw one. I started by drawing a sketch on my iPad, and now I'm going to transfer to a sketchbook. But first, I added a white layer to draw on top on. It doesn't sound really hard, though, does it? Well, it was. I made a couple of miscalculations and it was kind of a disaster because of the paint diluting and stuff. The texture of the acrylic didn't really help to draw, so I made a stop in a couple of places, but let's ignore that and start painting. Before that, I made a really rough and tiny thumbnail to plan up some of the colors because the set of acrylic markers I have is not the biggest or the one with more variety of colors, so I wanted to work with what I have, so picked the most accurate colors I could to the character I'm going to draw, which is Merold from Fragaria Memories, because I'm way too obsessed with him in the show and his design. He's just too cute, so I really wanted to draw him because I decided to draw the characters I'm most obsessed with at the time for my sketchbook covers. Also, if you remember from last week's video, I drew Arashi Narukami from Ensemble Stars on the last and first pages of my sketchbook, so it's nice in a way, right? Like I'm drawing the characters I'm most obsessed with at the moment. I was kind of scared of coloring his skin because sometimes when using these markers I have made some mistakes. Like I end up choosing a wrong skin tone and my characters end up looking like, I don't know, The Simpsons. So I didn't want that. I didn't want him to look too yellow. So I started kind of, I don't know, timid with the coloring. I was hoping I didn't mess up, and I still thought at this point that he looked a little too yellow, but I kept going, hoping that adding the hair and all of the other things would make him look a lot better. His hair is a rather light brown, well, the, I guess, upper part of his hair, because he also has a pink gradient, so I didn't really know how to do this because I did not have the right color, so I decided to use a really light yellow, which is the lightest yellow I have actually in this set, and blend it with, I don't really know how to describe this color, but I thought that by blending this would make it look a little bit more similar to the original. I also picked a rather bright pink, which was the one I thought was the closest one to the original one to blend with his hair. And luckily, because of the texture of the acrylic, it made it a lot easier to blend, and it actually looks like a gradient like in the original, so I'm really happy about that. Although this drawing will not be the most, I guess, blended or detailed, number one, because I can't really do that, and also because I don't have enough colors. Like this set is rather small, so I don't have that many colors. As I said, I'm working with what I have, and that's the perfect excuse to not try to blend things too much. Although we might argue that I should use acrylics to have a variety of colors to choose from, but I don't really want to. I mean, I'm struggling with these brush tips. I'm going to struggle even more with brushes, so I'm not doing that. For the pink portions of his hair, I kept them pretty flat. I'm going to be adding some detail later on, but for the most part I thought this looked okay. Also because I was trying to figure out what to do. So as you can see, I didn't add shading to his face at this point, not to the, I guess, light brown portion either. So I was kind of laying down the base colors to figure out the shading later. As I mentioned before, Merold is from Gragaria Memories, which is kind of a, I don't know, YouTube show. It's kind of complicated, but it has a, I guess, series on YouTube, which I'm going to link down below, which you can watch the episodes, which are really cute. Fragaria Memories is a story about knights that protect their lords, which are Sanrio characters. So there's Hello Kitty, Pompompurine, Cinnamon Roll, Kurami, and Melody, which is Merold's lord, so he's a knight that protects my Melody's kingdom, and it's so cute. I love the story, it's really cute. The art is amazing, everything is so cute. I just love it. Merold is, I wouldn't say he's my favorite because I really love I love everything about Gragaria Memories, but I really like Merold's design and personality. He's so cute and funny and interesting and kind of mischievous. He's so cute. And he's the reason why I learned about Fragaria Memories, because it's kind of funny, because I was just scrolling on Pinterest and saw a fan art of him, and then all of a sudden I started like getting recommended a lot of pictures of him. So I was intrigued and saw in one of the comments that someone was asking where he came from, and they said Fragaria Memories. I started doing research, and here we are. Yeah, I love it so much. I really recommend it. The story is really cute, the art is amazing, and they also have songs which are really good. I really like them. So I really recommend Gragaria Memories. It's really good. I decided to use the same color I was using for the blending to shade the hair itself. So I added it in certain places, and I didn't exaggerate with this too much. As I said, I didn't want to add too much blending or overdo it. At this point, I started using a pink marker to add shading to his skin. I picked pink in peach or something like that because, as I said, I still thought that his skin looked a little yellow. I wanted to make it look a bit more rosy, I guess. I also tried to add a little bit of pink to his cheeks, but I was kind of scared of making it look bad, so I stopped with that for now. I really like the way the cell shading looks on his skin. I think even though it looks kind of simple and graphic, I really like it. I mean, if we compare this with the actual art of Fragaria Memories, at least for him, it's really blended and detailed. So I was kind of intimidated by that because mine is so simple and cell shaded. I thought it might look really bad, but it looks okay. I really love cell shading, so that might be one of the reasons why. One thing I love about him, other than because his whole design, and I love his hair too, but are his eyes. They're mint and they complement the rest of his color scheme so well. I just like that. So I really wanted to, and also like the way they're colored, so I really wanted to make him look somewhat, I don't know, kind of accurate, or at the very least resemble him. But I made a little mistake. I ended up making him look a little cross-eyed, and it's not that obvious right now, but when I add his eyelashes, it's gonna look a lot more obvious. So yeah, that's kind of sad. I tried to fix it, but yeah, it was a mistake because I couldn't really control the nibs. Even though they're brush nibs, they're not that, I guess, fine. So it was kind of hard to have more control over them, or accuracy, I guess. After that, I started doing the liner. I started by coloring his eyelashes, which, as I said, only accentuated the problem. It looked kind of weird and I was not that happy about it. But I was trying to decide what I wanted to do, because I really like how warm and soft everything looks. So I was not sure if I should add the black liner or if I should add something, I guess, lighter. But the problem was I only have a thin acrylic marker that's black, and the other ones I have are these ones with, as I said, the nibs are not that small, so adding detail and stuff was kind of complicated, but I still thought it was worth a shot. And even if I messed up, I could just paint over it, because I mean, that's the magic of acrylics. So I just kept going. But this is where I realized that it would have been really hard to do with a brush because of the, I guess, the texture of the cover. It made it hard to have a consistent line work. So had I used a brush, this would have looked a lot worse. So I'm really happy that I used these. So even though I messed up some of the lines, I could, I guess, have a little bit more control with the marker. Also, since I had covered most of my sketch, I got kind of confused with certain parts, so I added the liner where I thought it would be, but then I looked at the picture on my iPad and realized that I messed up a little bit, and yeah, I got a little confused with some of the lines, and his hair didn't look that accurate. So I I was just kind of sad that I was messing up so much at this point. But didn't give up. I kept going, trying to add things and trying to make him look okay. Because as I said, even if I messed up really badly, I could technically cover this infinitely until I was satisfied with it. So that was really reassuring. This was easier to fix that if I had made a mistake on the pages with, I don't know, alcohol markers or something. So yeah, I was kind of relieved by this. But still was kind of sad because I was comparing it to my digital sketch and realized I messed up a little too much, and also because I was not I was not 100% happy with the way he was looking. I mean, the lines are really messy, his eyes are kind of weird. I was not 100% happy with his smile. I was comparing it to my sketch, which I really liked, and also comparing it to the original material, and I was just feeling really sad about that. So I finished the line art with this marker and then started fixing some things. I used the same color, for instance, for his hair, so I could cover some of these lines, make them a little bit more thin or more accurate to the drawing. So I was fixing that. I also took my thin Posca pen. As I said, I didn't want to use it because it's black and I was kind of scared that it might look a little too harsh, but it was worth a shot. So I did it and managed to make his eyes a little better. I fixed a little bit of the hair too, and it helped me a lot to make things a little bit more easier to read, and it's not too harsh. I would say this is done, but we can't draw the knight without his lord, so let's draw Melody on the back of the sketchbook. After all the mishaps with the base layer for Merold, I should be a little bit more comfortable with doing it for Melody, right? Well, actually no. I still messed up a little too much, less than with Merold, but still. And was kind of impatient when coloring her, and it kind of shows because the base layer was not completely dry, and I didn't realize this at the moment, but later on while coloring, I noticed some of my markers were kind of, I don't know, dry. I was kind of confused because why would they feel dry? I'm trying to be responsible at the very, there's no way they would be dry. So I did not understand what was going on until I realized that there was a little bit of white paint in some of them. And yes, yeah, that was a mistake. Also, can I just say that drawing Melody was a lot harder than drawing Merold, which is kind of crazy to think, right? Because she's so simple. And I mean, he's a lot more detailed and stuff. I thought drawing him would be a lot harder, but it was the other way around. I mean, you can see this teeny simple sketch. It took like 1 hour to draw on the iPad. I could not draw her, I guess, accurately or cute or make her proportions make sense. It was a journey and I did not have fun with that, but at the very end, I ended up having a sketch that I was kind of pleased with. So I started painting her and I didn't realize that there was so much white, and instead of rushing the white layer, I should have made it look more opaque and thick, because I ended up having to add a little bit more of it to, I guess, not make it too translucent, you know? So yeah, a lot of mistakes were made in the sketchbook. But that's the fun part about it, right? You learn from your mistakes and stuff. So I shouldn't complain because I learned a bunch of things. So that's good, right? And as I said with my first and last pages of my sketchbook, I was not aiming for perfections. I mean, I kinda am because I'm a perfectionist, but I mean, I'm not an expert of this, so I can't expect to draw something perfect because it's kind of impossible if you're a beginner. So yeah, I'm trying to be a lot nicer with myself, and you should too. If you really take your artwork, you should be a lot nicer with yourself, because you can't expect professional artwork if you're just a beginner, you know? Anyway, back to Melody. As you can see, this is really simple, and there's even less to mention about it than I did with Merold. So, I mean, Merold was kind of simple. As I said, I only added some basic shadows, but for Melody, I didn't even do that because she's even more simple, so I didn't want to overdo it. And also, most of the official artwork, she doesn't have that many shadows. I guess she's not that shaded, right? So I wanted to kind of follow that. And can I just say, she's so cute with her queen outfit. I just love it. I mean, the crown, the dress, it's so cute. I love it. For this one, I didn't want to take any chances, so I used the Posca pen. But I don't know what was worse, because I had a little bit of struggle with this because, as I said, the texture kind of made it difficult to draw nice, precise lines, and that showed a lot with Melody. Also, because I don't know if it's because this pen's ink, I guess paint is a lot harder to, I guess, takes a lot more time to dry, or what was it, but I smudged it in a couple of places, so I had to paint it back. But this kind of, I guess, dissolves with the Artex markers, which is the brand I was using, and it looks kind of muddy at places. So yeah, it was a journey, as I said. Okay, so here are the finished covers of the sketchbook. I really enjoyed finishing this sketchbook, the covers and the last pages. You can see that in this video. See you there. Bye bye.